Hello everyone, and welcome back to Groove Gaming. We have not jumped into Guild Wars 2 in a while, so we're jumping back in. And don't worry, I've not forgotten about you guys. I'm so loyal to Guild Wars 2. I'm gonna try to do ESO, but we've been doing a lot of Blade and Soul lately because it just came out. I have bronchitis. I got bronchitis, and I don't have time for that, literally. I have a lot to do. So, I was sitting here, I was just like, oh, video popped into my brain. Let's do a Dragonhunter build video. And this is something I've been running with for a while now, and I'm really satisfied with it, so I might as well share it with you guys. Now the weapon sets we're using are Scepter Focus and Longbow. Sigils we're taking our Sigil Battle for the Might, Sigil Blood just to get some health back whenever we're fighting. And with this build, disclaimer, you're going to be very squishy. So this extra life train is useful. Sigil of Fire, which will tie into a lot of our specialization and trait choices. So Sigil of Fire on the Longbow is really good, because you're going to be in Longbow for most of the time. Though you might want to switch to Scepter and Focus for like the shield and the defensive abilities on occasion, but mostly staying in Longbow is a good idea. So Sigil of Fire will play into our other specialization traits, and we'll get into that shortly. Next we have Sigil Blood for the health generation as well. And then we're going to take Rune of Fire for the increased power and the burning duration. And for the Fire Aura you get when you are below 80% health. So this is a very burning heavy build with a lot of traps. I call it the burning trap build for a reason, because we'll get into it. I'll explain why I call it that in a little bit. But next we're taking the Marauder Amulet. With Power, Precision are the main stats, and Vitality and Ferocity are the secondary stats. I don't want to go too full-on Berserker, though I could, but that's really squishy, and you die extremely fast, and I felt like this added a little bit more flavor than just like going raw damage. The raw damage might be your playstyle, so I say Berserker or Marauder. Either one's fine. Let's get on to the specializations. First one I take are the Virtue line. First one is Unscathed Contender. You're basically just getting a 20% damage increase for if you're under the effects of Aegis. If you're not getting that damage increase. So use your Shield of Courage or Virtue Courage often. Next is Absolute Resolution. This increases the strength of Virtue of Resolve and also grants it the ability to remove 3 conditions. It has 600 radius, so it's strong. I take it mostly because just the extra survival. I'm also trying to use Supreme Justice. It burns more frequently, and the burning duration is increased. So I feel like I personally am just using Absolute Resolution for the increased survivability. But Supreme Justice, with all the burning that's going on, also grade A choice, grade A. And the next one we take is Permeating Wrath. Passive effect is no longer only burns your target, but also does an AoE blast burning. So you're going to be doing a lot of burning damage to a lot of people around the target. So, but if you're in a solo situation, you're not really going to get the full effect. So that's why being in groups is a little bit more helpful with this build, though I tend to not be in groups. I just find myself being alone on a base. So that's all we're doing with the Virtue line. We're just basically getting some increased damage, some more survivability, and AoE burning. Next we're going to move on to Zeal. I don't actually run with the Zeal trait line quite often, to be honest. But when I started figuring out this build a couple weeks ago, I was like, hey, let's just throw it in and see what happens, and it like meshed with it perfectly. The first one we're taking is Fiery Wrath. You're going to be doing 7% increased damage against burning foes. So this plays into the Permeating Wrath. So you're going to be doing a lot. You're basically going to be doing 7% more damage to multiple foes if they happen to be on fire. It sounds weird, but that's true. You're going to be doing a lot more damage. 7% plus the extra 20% if you do have Aegis, and you should always have Aegis pretty much, because Longbow is ranged and you should always be at a range. So you're gonna be doing a lot of killing and a lot more damage. And the next trait line we did is Kindled Zeal. We're going to gain extra condition damage based on our power. And that's another reason why we're taking Marauder. Berserker would also be a good choice for the extra power. And with the flat damage, we're also buffing our condition damage. So, and burning's already strong, so there's going to be a lot of burning going out. Excuse me, I'm a little... bronchitis is getting to me. I'm pulling through. I just going to touch on this minor... I think it's minor. Yeah, minor trait. Symbolic power. Your symbols have increased damage and a chance to burn enemies. So, I know Longbow has one symbol, but the Scepter and the Focus don't. You could switch out Scepter and Focus for Greatsword or Staff or Mace, or you could... I would actually switch out Scepter just for Mace, personally. But anything with the symbol's good, and that increased burning is great, because you're getting so many of the traits are meshing into burning and really like weaving in, and it just helps you. That's all I have to say for that one. And then Symbolic Avenger. Deal more damage to enemies standing in your symbols. So while they're standing in your symbol, you're gaining 10% damage increase, and you're giving them burning, and you have increased damage against burning foes, and you're using Permeating Wrath most of the time, and you have 20% damage increased from the Aegis. You're getting a lot of good damage effects. And yeah, that's basically all we're taking. So increased damage, increased condition damage, and then symbols, symbol burning. And then for the Dragonhunter, the meat of the spec. Though a lot of the traits don't have a lot of, in my opinion, have a lot of game-changing effects. They're more like minor, but I guess they could turn a game around if you play them right. But anyway, Dragonhunter. First one, you just get the Spirit Justice and your virtues changed. But the first one we take is Piercing Light. Your traps daze enemies. And they also have a reduced recharge time. All your utility skills, if you look down here, they're all traps. So I'd say if you're gonna run full trap, Piercing Light's the way to go. Next one we take is Zealot's Aggression. You're doing extra damage to crippled enemies, and your Justice's passive effect also cripples enemies. That's great. Spirit Justice, you're going to get a lot of burning. Let's do a basic rundown. A lot of burning. You're going to be crippling them. The cripple also grants extra damage. You might throw down a symbol. Your symbol could start burning. Your symbols are also putting 10% increased damage on the people standing inside your symbols. You have increased condition damage. While burning is already super powerful, you have increased damage against burning foes. Permeating Wrath is also doing AoE blast fire burning damage. And then you have 20% increased for Aegis. So it's a very super burst spec. And then Big Game Hunter. Striking an enemy tethered by your Spirit Justice causes vulnerability and increases damage dealt. With the Dragonhunter, your Spirit Justice is only on a 17.5-second recharge. So you are going to be using this a buttload, in fact. You're going to be using it a lot. So you're going to put vulnerability on them, which reduces their armor, which means they're going to be taking more damage. But on top of that, you're also getting a 10% damage increase. It's bonkers. This might be my second favorite spec or build that I've run with, to be honest. Yeah, that's the rundown of the specializations. So for basic rundown of the Dragonhunter, trap recharge and daze, and then we have crippling and damage increase, and then also another damage increase and vulnerability for your Spirit Justice. So that's basically the quick rundown of my specialization build. Now I'm going to talk about how I use it. Just a very quick, not too complicated way of how I play my Dragonhunter. So I spend most of my time in Longbow. You can go into Scepter and Focus for more defensive abilities, but most of the time you want to stay with Longbow. Now, the way I do my game, the way I fight, because you are really squishy. Now I can go down in about 5 seconds flat. 2 seconds if it's a thief. But that being said, I can also burst someone down in 6, 7, 8 seconds. If you manage to get a point, if you're playing Conquest, and you manage to get, like, say mid. Mid is usually a good example because a lot of people go to mid. What you want to do, you want to get that midpoint, make sure no one else is around, and when there's no enemies around, you need to place all of your traps in the middle. Now, this is a really douchey way of playing, but because it can go down super easily, my method is to place all the traps and go hide. Like, try to get a vantage point where I'm above the enemy team. So when they all trigger the traps, they'll get dazed. And then I usually, when people are in the traps, if they don't go down by the traps alone, that's when I usually send in a symbol. And then, so they're going to get some more burning, possible burning, and increased damage. And then immediately after the symbol, I place down, I forget the name of the skill, Hunter's Ward. So they'll be trapped inside that area. And then if they're still alive for some reason, I keep firing, and I might send out a true shot, and then I will eventually throw my Spirit Justice. But they don't usually survive the initial trap burst. So the traps are your first line of offense. Now for defensive stuff, obviously Shield of Courage, and if you need to retreat somewhere, just use your wings, and it gets you quite far. And that's basically my quick rundown of how I actually play my Dragonhunter. Now that I am doing Dragonhunter PvP and stuff. I also use a Greatsword occasionally, and Greatsword is more offensive melee stuff. So if you're finding yourself having a hard time managing with melee combat, you might want to switch out your Scepter and focus for a Greatsword. You will also get another symbol as well. And with the recharge, your traps come back, your traps come off cooldown very quickly. And yeah, that's basically how I do, now you know why I call it my burning trap build. The fiery traps. You're doing a lot of burning if the enemies survive the initial trap burst. And I know it's kind of a douchey way of playing, but if I'm even on a one-on-one situation, if I get caught, or someone like sneaks up behind me, I'm dead. I'm pretty much dead. So if you're wanting to play a playstyle where you're not in the thick of it most of the time, but you set down your traps and then you go back and hide, get a vantage point, you'll be good. There are, of course, some ways you can tweak some of the specializations so you are more viable in close quarters combat with another player. But that's for you guys to decide and for you guys to make up. This was a quick build video that I wanted to put out there. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe for more content. I know Guild Wars 2 is, we haven't done a lot in Guild Wars 2 lately. It's been Elder Scrolls Online and Blade and Soul. But now, don't worry, I haven't forgot about, I have a lot of stuff to do. So, bear with me, everyone. Thank you so much, though, for watching. Subscribe to keep me motivated. Like the video if you liked it, and comment down below. I will be back with you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.